everyone, and welcome back to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk about everything you and your friends are talking about at rehearsal on a water break. This week, we are continuing with Women's History Month and a full panel of powerful women. We'll find out what made Nicole say.
You know, here's the thing. I am such a fraidy cat when it comes to certain things, but like, I love watching true crime. Like, it's...
And why Whitney said.
I just think she's awesome. So she's one of the first, like, strong females that I think of in the marching arts.
All this and more on this week's episode of On a Water Break.
8 off the mat and go.
Welcome to On a Water Break, a podcast where we talk everything marching arts.
Everyone, bring it in. It's time for a water break.
Hey everyone, it's Alicia, and this is my first episode hosting, so just like everyone's first rep, we get this one for free. Already messed up once. We're not going to talk about it. We have a great episode this week for Women's History Month. Last week's episode was with the amazing Denise Bonfiglio, and it was a great way to kick off the month. This episode is bringing the same female power energy. Before we see who's on the sidelines this week, go and subscribe and hit the notifications on your favorite listening app. Write us a review, share this with a friend. If you've got a question or a good topic to talk about, email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com or find us on social media and DM us if you want to be on the show. We even have a form now that you can fill out if you want to be a guest. We love having people on the podcast, so check that out at our link in our bio on our social media. Okay, let's see who's on the sidelines this week for our all-female panel. Ashlee, it has been a hot minute since we've seen you on. How's your winter going? How is the twirling world?
It has been so long since I've been on here. I can't even remember the last time, but we're not going to talk about that. Yeah. My winter, actually, we haven't even had our first show yet because this is only our second season doing indoor, and our first show got canceled due to weather.
Oh,
I know. The snow, the rain, the everything. That was the weekend of February something in the beginning. I don't know.
yeah.
Twirling world, we're like in the midst of competition season. Next weekend is Congressional Cup, which is in Maryland. Me and both of my parents are actually judging at the competition, so that will be really
All
fun.
family event.
That's what we do on a lot of the weekends, like in the spring. We take family trips and go different states and judge around. But it's really good. Everyone's looking well rehearsed, and it's just like a fight for like spot, I don't know, like the competition, because this is a world's qualifying year for everything. So everything has been a little cutthroat. People have
that
been
is fascinating.
upset.
The twirling world is dramatic, like even more dramatic than color guard. So I would love to pick your brain sometime about like how it's judged. We hosted a show at a school I worked at once, and the whole day, again, fascinating to me. So, maybe we'll save that at some time. I'd love to see like a comparison, maybe future episode.
For sure. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So, and I see we've got Nicole and Whitney, but they are over there working out an issue with the color guard, and I don't even want to get involved, but they'll be coming back for the next segment with Courtney Allison Mills. So you guys will want to stick around for that. Now, though, I am excited to welcome some brand new ladies to the podcast. This is a cool panel because everyone is directly connected to somebody that is already on the panel or on the podcast. So it's like we have our family here. First up is a friend of mine who has a really interesting story to tell later, but Miss Holly Cannell. Hi, Holly. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you asked me to do this.
Yeah, I'm glad you could come on. We also have a friend of Ricardo's coming to us from Georgia, Cecilia Clark. Hi, Cecilia.
Hi. So
Welcome
glad to
on.
be here with you ladies.
Yeah, and then we have a friend of Austin and amazing woman in her own right. Please welcome Katie Zing.
Hi, excited to be here with all of you.
Yeah, glad to have you. So I'm going to pull something I saw Nicole pull a couple of weeks ago. But now that we have met everybody, we would normally go and do a news segment. but I'm going to pull it this week and say no news. We're here with 4 incredible women in the marching arts. You guys each bring a unique perspective from the podium to the classroom to the field. So I want to jump right into it. Are you guys cool with that?
No news is good news.
Yeah, right. So, and you know what? It's not been a heavy week for news in the marching arts world anyway. So I have a quote that I read that, talked about, the marching arts. It said, we also have a friend of Peyton's, Miss Jenna Foley. Jenna, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited that all of you guys could be here. Again, welcome to On a Water Break. Yes. Okay, so it is time for our 32 Count Life Stories. It's one of our favorite segments on the show. In this segment, our guests get 8 off the Met to prepare, and then you have 32 counts to share your journey from birth to whatever you had for breakfast today, whatever you want it to be. And Holly, are you set?
Sure, why not? Everyone else will be like, it's all uphill from here.
Yeah, you can do it. I believe in you.
Born, piano, flute, recorder, actual flute, middle school, high school, went to college, became a band director. Elementary school, not a thing. Middle school, 13 years. High school, those are my people. 6 through 12, that's a little bit much. And on a water break.
I love that you just gave us like slam poetry. That was awesome. Great job. Okay, Cecilia, I'm so sorry you have to follow that, but are you ready?
I'm not nearly as prepared. I'm ready.
I'm telling you, I stressed about this all day. So while I was working on saxophones, that's what was going through my head.
See, I'm a drummer. I can't multitask like that. Okay,
Cecilia, you can do it.
so I was born and raised on Andrews Air Force Base, just outside of Washington, D.C. My parents raised me as their only child who did music. I was an organist because it was the 70s, and then I became a percussionist. I am a first-generation college graduate, so I'm super excited to be where I am. As a high school band director, I've been teaching for 29 years. I can't even believe it.
That is awesome. And you did great. You did great. See, no stress. All right, Katie, are you ready for yours?
I think so.
Okay, you can do it.
I was born and raised in Western Kentucky. I started dancing when I was 5 years old. I did ballet, tap, lyrical, modern, and then I started band in middle school, started playing trumpet, went all the way through high school, 4 years of marching band. I started marching drum corps when I was 16, and then I went on to go get my degree in music in college. I marched 5 years of drum corps in total, and then I started teaching marching band, taught troopers the last 3 years, and I work at Fishers High School in Indianapolis now.
Oh, awesome. I'm a big fan of what's been happening with the troopers the last few years, too. That's fantastic. And love Fishers. All right. We have one more. Jenna, can you wrap us up with an awesome 32 Count Life story?
Yes, I can. I believe I can, at least. Hi, so my name is Jenna N. Foley. I'm from Livingston, New Jersey. I, as a youngin', played softball and soccer and basketball and a bunch of sports. But when I hit high school, I was like, let me do this marching band thing. So I picked up a bass drum and never kind of stopped. I also was drum major for 2 years in high school, played quads as well. Then I went on to Kutztown University, had 4 great years on drumline there, was their president for my 5th year, Kutztown University marching unit baby. I also went to Georgian Park's Drum Major Academy for multiple years, worked with them, and then now I'm with Hawthorne Caballeros. I used to be Fusion Corps. That was not great. I need more like a 64 part.
That's okay. And that's cool, though, because you all have so much experience in the activity, which, the activity that has traditionally, been a very male dominated field, especially in leadership. So I really want to talk to you each about a time when you felt like you really had to prove yourself as a female in the activity. Jenna, you just mentioned working with Fusion Corps, and you're the drum major for Fusion Corps, right?
So I was formerly the drum major for Fusion Corps the past 2 years, and I will be assistant drum major with the Hawthorne Caballeros this year.
Okay, awesome. So, the all age corps have definitely provided us with more opportunity for female leadership and drum majors. But tell me about your experience.
So specifically within the drum corps world, being a female drum major, I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing to think about because, as you were saying, our activity used to be so male dominated. I mean, I'm extremely lucky to be one of the first women drum majors ever at Hawthorne Caballeros. We can still only count us on 2 hands. And this summer, thank you, this summer we're going to be the first female drum major team at Hawthorne Caballeros. So that's going to be really awesome in our 79-year history. So I'm excited to be a part of that team. And in general, being a female drum major, I feel like there's always all this pressure of you have to be on your A game because you have to show that you do know what you're talking about, because any slip up, some people are going to think, oh, you're not qualified, even taking away from the gender bias, oh, you're not qualified to be up there because you slip up on this one thing. And it's amplified because I'm a woman. And it's definitely come a long way, even in which is so wild to say, my decade of marching as of this summer, in general. But my now 3 years in drum corps, it's even changed from each season. When I first became a drum major in 2017 with Livingston, it was way different than it is coming into this 2025 season with Hawthorne.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You triggered, memory for me that my very first year of drum corps, which I'm not going to talk about the year, but we had a female drum major, and this is going to age me. It was Division 1 at the time. And there were only 2 Division 1 female drum majors that entire year. So it's cool to see so many barrier breaking new women in the activity doing this, leading groups. It's really, really cool.
And we're starting to see other drum corps as well, such as CV. They had an all-female drum major team last year, and I believe Mandarins within the most recent years as well. So it's great that we're starting to see this trickle throughout the whole entire drum corps international, and now that's starting to trickle down to the all-age division as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to profess my love for Kim Roman of the Hawthorne Caballeros because
yes,
I love that woman. Go Cabs. But next question is for Cecilia. What was your experience like becoming a band director in a field where it's mostly men in these head director positions?
Yeah, well, I think what's great is Jenna, you've already talked about that, right? That landscape is changing. And I'm so glad to be able to see that because I think I mentioned in my 32 count, I've been doing this for 29 years. And so came on the scene when there weren't very many women doing it. So the fact that we're seeing more females leading at that younger level, I know that someday that's going to change, because for me, when I started teaching, less than 20% of all high school band directors were women. Just all, right? And of that, and it's actually, the number at the time was 17.2%. Why do I know that? Because of course I noticed, right? And of that, less than 20% across the United States of all the women that are out there, less than half of those women were head directors, right? Right? You could be a band director, but you can't be in charge. And then of those half of the women who got to be head directors, less than half of those women lead programs that the Department of Education would consider large or suburban programs, right? So women like myself who get to have a band, and a large band is considered more than 80. Right? So to have 200 kids in my program, to be in Metro Atlanta as head director, That's just still kind of unheard of in 2025. So having people like y'all who are leading programs at your age, that's how it's going to change. Because I started at a time where, honestly, in Pennsylvania, we just didn't even talk about it. I was dressing part of the male band director because I didn't know what it looked like to be a female band director. I was wearing a suit. I wasn't wearing flowers. I wasn't wearing dangly earrings. I wasn't wearing a skirt because I was just trying to fit in with the guys. And now to be in 2025 and be able to celebrate, really truly celebrate women, I'm just so proud to see that change in my career because it is changing because of young women like yourselves that are just boldly entering the profession and taking those leadership roles. So it's just awesome.
Cecilia, it's so cool how you've been able to kind of carve such an awesome path. I think you and Holly you could have a lot to talk about because I know her experience has been very similar. Holly, I was going to talk to you and ask you about the frustration you once shared with me of having to constantly correct people that, no, you're not the guard instructor, but I think you've also had a similar experience with Cecilia where even though you might have been the person who was the most qualified in the room to be leading a program, you had to kind of fight for trust in programs you've worked in, right?
It's pretty much anywhere that I've ever been. And, Cecilia, you were talking about the percentages of women in certain programs or especially as head directors. I think if you really look at those numbers too, you see a lot where women end up you can get to middle school and it's okay for women to be at the middle school level, but still in so many places, it's just not okay for a woman to be the head director of a high school. And, as much as I hate to say it, there are still very sadly places in this country that just will not hire a woman to take those jobs, even if the woman is clearly the most qualified candidate. And I know, right? It's 2025 and it's just really unfortunate. And I hope that will change in time. It's clearly a very slow change, as all of us probably know. We probably all wish that there are things that would change tomorrow to make our lives so much easier. But like Cecilia, I'll take the wins for now. There are more women and there are more younger women. And so there is hope. We just have to keep plugging away and doing the things that we know how to do and just proving that, we are equals with them. We're not, and, I don't think there's anyone that would say that they're trying to be better than. In large part, we're equals. We do the same work. We want the same results as them. And so we're just asking to be treated equally with them.
Not a big ask.
No, I don't think so. But like I always say, what do I know?
All right, we're going to move on to our next question. This is for Katie. As a visual tech and a brass instructor, have you ever felt that your authority or expertise was questioned because of your gender?
I think it's especially difficult as a woman in a leadership role in the activity, mainly because a lot of people view the things that you say and do under a microscope, kind of waiting for you to say the wrong thing or fail at something and then use it as a way to deflect the real work that you do and your credibility. I think it's also a really common reaction in the judging community. I've been in positions in critiques where going into it, if it's overarching visual caption, a lot of the times people will just kind of assume that you're the color guard person or the dance person when you are a visual instructor or brass instructor in a leadership role. So it is really frustrating. And then you kind of get stuck in these cycles where you're always trying to be perfect and put up a front that you kind of have it all together all the time. And it just becomes really difficult to keep up with that over your own authenticity. So I think once you let go of that kind of fear of failing and letting other people's opinions dictate your worth as an instructor, that's when the real growth starts to kind of happen. So it does take time, but it does start to get better as you push past those judgments.
Katie, that was such a good point about just feeling like you have to always be perfect in order to be respected in your position. So good. And you really led us to the next point that we wanted to talk about, which was, leadership in the activity. You guys all just spoke very intelligently about your experience. What is something for all of you that, you maybe wish you had learned earlier in the activity or that you wish more women knew? I know, Jenna, particularly for drum majors, do you have any advice?
I say I would have a two-parter for this one. My first piece of advice would be don't be afraid to get emotional. That is something that women are crucified for, but emotion, specifically facial expressions, is something that is so important for a drum major. That is one of the things that I've been complimented on probably the most within my conducting, other than like patterns and stuff and so on and so forth. The oddball of it all would be pointing out my facial expressions. That's something that from members, from staff, so on and so forth. So don't be afraid to get emotional on the field and get into the music, because it's important. I mean, it's important for any performer, but the stereotype with women is, oh, they're so emotional. Okay, so then be emotional. Get into your performance. Be the let me try that again. Be the performer that gets emotional, that calls out to the kid in the stands. Because the kid's going to remember the person getting emotional and getting into their performance rather than the person just going through the moves. Yeah, thank you. And I guess, like, bouncing off of that, my second piece was go for the gold. When I stepped into Fusion Corps, and before I continue with my next statement, I have to say, I love Kyle DeFranco. Do not get me wrong. Kyle DeFranco, my predecessor at Fusion Corps, absolute godsend of a man. Him and I have had many, many conversations. I still have to tell him I'm contracted at Hawthorne. So Kyle, if you're listening, this is how you're finding out. I have to text you still. Following him in Fusion, he had very, very big shoes to fill. And that was intimidating for me towards the beginning of my time with Fusion, which I joined Fusion 23, like Memorial Day weekend-ish. But at one point during that season, I did finally just let it relax. And the thought of, oh, I have to try and get this award. Oh, I have to try and lead the ensemble to this award. I eventually let that roll off my back, and in turn made that happen. I was able to lead Fusion to a third place winning that year with second place percussion, which was absolutely phenomenal. And obviously it's not my work. It's the work of the members, but I'm honored enough to get to lead them on the field for that. And then I was also very honored to take home the last Drum Corps Associates Open Class Drum Major Award, which I was very, very honored and very humbled to be a part. John Carr and I have had multiple conversations about it. And as you can see on video, I'm still blushing about it. But that wouldn't have been possible if I continued to let it get in my head to go for the gold. And when I stopped it, I know I said go for the gold every time, but when I stopped truly thinking about that, that's when I was able to succeed to that and help others succeed to that.
Yes. Cecilia, as a band director, how do you mentor young women in your program to become leaders?
I think that I just mentor all of my students to become leaders equally. I don't know that there is a specific path for women, because at the end of the day, I don't appreciate it when someone says, wow, she's really good at that for a woman. Mm-hmm. Or wow, right? Oh, she's a good conductor for a woman, or she's a good drummer as a female. I don't ever want that qualifier. So I think it's really important that young students who aspire to be leaders just approach it in the same way, right? We just want them to embrace the idea that if I am going to lead a program, it's my responsibility to be the absolute best version of myself. I just have to be a great human. Doesn't matter what your gender is, right? I just have to be a great musician. Doesn't matter what instrument you play. I have to be a really incredible performer. I have to have strong character. I have to be a person that people can trust. I can be a person that I've got all my stuff together. Because if I've got, 120 people that are counting on me, I better know what's up. right? So being the most prepared, being the one that's willing to always work hard, setting aside your personal needs sometimes to serve others. I just want to instill that in all of my students. But I just, for any of the my students who identify as female who want that role, if I ask them, when they ask me, what do I need to do? You just need to be so good at what you do. It's undeniable. You're the best, ... And then you earn that position.
That's the word I was thinking. Like right before you said it, I was like, undeniable. Then you said it. You read my mind.
Perfect. Because that's it, right? That's it. That's what's got to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Holly, I really wanted to bring you on this episode because you have such a unique perspective, having wrestled with the decision really, and then ultimately decided to step away from teaching after a 21-year long career or so. I mean, and I think burnout is such a real issue for so many educators. How did you recognize the signs of that burnout, and what advice could you offer to other female directors who are experiencing that?
Yeah, it was definitely not an easy decision when you teach for 20 years and that's your whole life. I mean, you look at it and you go, well, what am I going to do if I leave teaching? What's next? There were a couple of things that happened. I was in one particular teaching situation that was challenging, very challenging. As an assistant director, there were just a lot of things that were happening that were creating unnecessary stress. Unfortunately, it was my dream job. It literally had everything that I wanted in a job. I would have loved to have stayed there for the rest of my career and retired from there. But sometimes things just conspire against you and it's just not meant to be. So, in trying to kind of mitigate some of that stress, I made a job change to get out of the situation. Sometimes removing yourself from a situation is all you need to be able to, kind of rekindle your passion and find your footing again. And so I made that decision and I took another position. And in some ways it was better, but in other ways, like, I feel like as a teacher, my lot in life has been to fix the dumpster fires of people who have come before me. And I know, like, and
That's the
when you
life
get,
of a woman.
oh my gosh, it's not, I mean, it's hilarious, but it's really not funny at the same time. But I mean, every job that I have ever had has followed someone who literally left a dumpster fire. And so there was never an opportunity where I could just come in and, maybe make small changes here and there just based on my personality. No, this was like the ship is sinking and you better stick everything you can in every hole you can find, keep this thing from going down, kind of thing. And so the last program that I took was another one of those, and it was a mid-year job change, which brings its own set of challenges in itself. But the environment was good. And so, for like the first semester or so, I was like, okay, we got to marching season and it was good. Like, I did the best I could with what I had to work with. And Alicia, you were there. You had a front row seat to what I had to work with, and it wasn't much at all.
I want, Holly, if you don't mind for me to interrupt you, I really want to defend you here for a second because I know you'll never say this yourself either, but you took a job in the Deep South and the rural Deep South, and as a woman, there was even more of a barrier for you because everyone expected a man to do your job and they were not happy that a woman got the job.
No, they weren't. And, I really try to make the best of it. And what we did? I sat the kids down and we had a conversation and we laid out some goals and we went for them. Kind of like Jenna was saying, like, go for the gold. Like the kids kind of had what their things were in mind and we went for it. And by golly, we did it. It was not easy. And I think a lot of people were really surprised by what we did. I was surprised by what we did, quite frankly. But as we got into the next semester, I got to December and I was tired. And, Alicia, you having seen what I did, I mean, I was exhausted. And the drive to my job was particularly challenging. It was 2.5 hour commute every day. So that's round trip. So that alone will start to wear on you after a while. So, leave your house at 6 o'clock in the morning to get to work by 7:30 and, teach all day at school, have after school rehearsal, all the things. And then you finally make it home 12 hours later. And so I kind of started, like, I was tired. And so I was like, okay, well, is this tired or is this burnout showing itself back up again? And so I was like, well, let's just get to the end of the school year because we're not going to pull another middle of the year stunt. That's just a bad idea for everyone. So, but I was in rehearsal one day and I was looking at the kids and I had stopped for some reason. I don't even know why. Those kids looked like they would rather be anywhere in the world than in that band room. And it was at that moment that I thought, you know what? It's like, I don't blame the kids because kids are a reflection of their director 9 times out of 10. Like, they do as we do. And so it was in that moment that I was like, you know what? I have nothing left to give. And these kids don't deserve that. No kid does. And so I think it was that day that I went home and I told my husband, I was like, I think I need to be done teaching. I don't know where I can go. I don't know what I could, but this is not the place for me. And these kids deserve better than what I can give them right now. So I made the choice to step away. And for the month of June and pretty much the month of July, I did nothing. And by nothing, I mean nothing. Like, there was a lot of going to the pool and a lot of Netflix watching. And then there was the, okay, well, my last paycheck is coming. I better have some source of income. So, that kind of thing. But I have taken this school year, and it honestly was not until about a month ago that I even had any desire to listen to concert band music. My son is a junior in high school. He is in band. He loves all things band. I'll just be honest, going to his concerts was a struggle. I didn't really want to go. We're talking like serious burnout. But it is coming back. And I think sometimes you just get to a point where it's a hard decision. And, at first I was like, I'm never going back. And then about 6 months, or so, I was like, maybe. And I think the answer now is I will go back at some point, but I've made a list and these are the things that have to happen in order for me to be able to go back and maintain my sanity, in the process, because the job, I think as women, we talk a lot about we are under a microscope, and I don't think there's any escaping that. As much as all of us would love for that to go away, it's just not. I had a wonderful conversation with Paula Kreider early on in my career, and I was talking about this very thing. She made the comment, as the first female high school band director in Texas, back in the day when there were 0 females, doing what she did. She said, unfortunately, your band is always going to have to be light years better than any man's in order to get even a quarter of the respect that they get. And I don't know about all the rest of you, but I have found that to be so incredibly true through my entire career. It's hard. It's very hard to do what we do. We love our kids, and I think we love our kids fiercely. And I think we love our kids fiercely in a way that men can't, because they're not built that way. And that's okay. That's what makes female band directors special. And that's what makes us so good at our jobs, even though we don't necessarily like to wear pants all the time. Which that's a whole other story. Like, don't even get me started on like how we should be dressing. Cecilia, I'm sure you could go right there with me. And that goes back to the whole, like, getting you confused if you're the color guard instructor. But anyway, there is so much, and we have so much to offer when we're given the opportunity. But for me, going back, I have to set some pretty hard, fast boundaries about what my next position is going to look like so that I can be my best to give my best back to the kids. Because if I'm not my best and the kids aren't happy, then what's the point? I mean, there is no point at all. Because band should be fun, and it should be the best part of everyone's day, because band kids are the best kids. Like, we all know that. but they can't be the best kids if we don't have it in us to be able to show them how to be the best kids. So when I said at the end of my 32 count thing on a water break, I am on a water break, a year-long water break at this point. But it's been good. And I'm learning things about myself. I'll just go ahead and say it. I put myself in therapy because there was so much that had happened. I was having trouble processing the emotions that sometimes go along with that. And I needed someone else to kind of ask the right questions. I'm really good at burying everything. I'd rather go swim for an hour or, run for a while than to have to face things. But I think the only way to be the best version of me going forward is to just, we gotta beat this one with a little different method than in the past. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Absolutely.
That was a fantastic response. Like, I felt like you were almost talking to me.
And
like
I hate
my
that.
band life, my personal life, like all of it.
And if you have kids, like I said, I have a 16-year-old, and when you do this job and they're also in band, you're dealing with two different band schedules, and and then next year my kid's gonna he'll be a senior, and it's a lot.
That's a whole different perspective too, as a parent of a kid that's in band. But that was really well answered question. Really, really, really well. Which kind of leads us into our next question. Katie, how would you encourage, or how do you encourage young female performers to step up as leaders in visual and music instruction throughout your teaching career?
I think a lot of it for me is a personal journey, as growing up as a woman of color and also in living in a rural area growing up where diversity was really scarce. I just wish I had somebody who looked like me leading the charge and kind of being able to look up to that person as someone that I aspired to be, which didn't really happen. So it took a lot of time to kind of figure out my own strides and my own confidence. So a lot of what my personal mission is just building up female performers in their confidence, in their skills, and encouraging excellence over everything. And also knowing that you will have to work twice as hard to get half the credit of most of your male counterparts, but over that, excellence instead of perfection all the time. So confidence usually, I think, is described almost like it's supposed to be a feeling that you have, but I think it's a lot more complex than just feeling a certain emotion. You have to continually choose to show up for yourself every single day, and that confidence is a mindset that you have to choose to go after, even when you're in a place of anxiety or fear, and eventually it kind of just becomes a second nature, muscle memory, the more that you choose to show up for yourself. Just like the same skills that we teach in marching technique or playing your instrument, it's also a skill that you should have to be successful and to feel empowered.
Yeah, come on, we're learning life lessons on a water break.
Right. And I love it. I love it. So
I need this right now.
Yeah. It's like our own therapy. But in that same sense, those life lessons, we have to get back out to rehearsal or we're going to get yelled at. But real quickly, if you could go back and say one sentence to yourself at the beginning of your career, about being a woman in the marching arts, what would that be? What would you say to yourself? Jenna, you want to start us off?
Sure. I do have one sentence, but I think it does need explanation to it, so I will ramble a teeny tiny bit. But I think the sentence I would give to myself, again, thinking back on a decade now, again, as of this summer, it'll be 10 years of me marching, which is wild. But I think telling myself, and I smile, because I can picture the photo of me, and I get emotional thinking about it because it's been 10 years, but I think about the photo of me with my braces and the bass drum on and the sports sunglasses and the makeshift pad we had to make for my hips because I got such bad bruises my first year. And I look at that girl in my head and think about just live in the moment. Don't stress about too many things. Don't stress about who and what person might be trying to tear you down, because no matter what gender they are, that doesn't mean it's a reflection of you. Either somebody talking about how I played a drum a certain way or staff members doubting my ability. I would just go on to prove them wrong in the end. Live in the moment, because that's all I could do. I went on to win the best drum major award that year when I had people. And then like thinking about me back 10 years ago, like that little kid with the bass drum, like living in the moment, not worrying about what other people might be saying, because you're gonna go far, kid. Like that statement rings true.
Cecilia?
One sentence. Don't allow your success to be defined by someone else. I wasted too much time in my career trying to prove myself, try to be a cool kid, one of the guys, whatever it is, keep up with I don't know, all of those things. And the moment when I decided that wasn't my goal. What my ultimate definition of success was the success of the students in the classroom sitting in front of me. And I wasn't going to allow anybody else to define that. If you can find that for yourself early on, and success looks different everywhere, right? What it looks like in your program is going to be different than your neighbors, which is going to be different than somebody else's in a different state. Define that for yourself and create that with your own students in your own school community.
Yeah. All right. Katie, what about you?
I think people are going to have judgments about you, and it has nothing to do with you. And the people who are good at the things that you're trying to do won't judge you for trying or failing. They'll respect you for the effort. So the outcome is irrelevant. I think if I could tell my younger self, like, give yourself grace, don't listen to the haters, and just keep showing up for yourself despite the opinions of people who make those judgments, because they'll never be in your shoes.
And Holly?
I think the biggest thing that I would tell my younger self is to be myself. Myself is not necessarily everyone's cup of tea, but it's who I am. And, I hate that I had to get to the age that I am before I'm like, you know what? What you see is what you get. You can take it or leave it. Because I definitely spent a lot of time trying to reinvent myself. And it doesn't go well for you or for anybody else.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, you need to be very excited because Nicole and Whitney will be back with the incredible Courtney Allison Mills. And then we will do our Gush and Goes and our What Are We Doings right after this commercial break.
Celebrating its 25th anniversary, Guard Closet was founded as a consignment shop in 2000. Since then, it has grown to become your one-stop shop for the marching arts.
Do you need consignment uniforms and flags for your color guard, marching band, or drumline? We have thousands of sets of consignments in stock and ready to ship.
Do you need show design and custom choreography? Our designers have years of experience in the marching arts.
Do you need to sell your items and clear out your storage areas? We take in more than 600 sets of consignments each year and return hundreds of thousands of dollars to our consigners for their sales.
Do you need to have your students order shoes, gloves, and other equipment? We can set up a microsite for easy student ordering of a wide variety of items.
Do you need custom costumes or flags? We can help get you great designs from our team through top vendors like Show Day Designs.
Have you listened to our podcast On a Water Break? Weekly episodes and bonus content keep you entertained and informed with what's going on in the marching arts.
For over 25 years, Guard Closet has been here to help. Check us out at guardcloset.com or follow us on social media.
Welcome back to On a Water Break. We just heard from Alicia and an incredible all-female panel celebrating Women's History Month. Now we're keeping the momentum going, and we have another amazing guest. But first, I'm back on the sidelines with my girl, Whitney. We haven't been on this thing in a hot minute. together.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. I know you've got all the things going with the dragons and whatnot, and
all the things.
I gave you that little trinket, remember?
Yeah.
Look at mine.
Aw, it's the same but bigger? Yeah?
Yes, because I put a lot more stuff in. I just dumped it all out. But I thought the
So
mother
cute.
of dragons needed something of dragons too.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
You're welcome. So right now we have another extraordinary woman on. Whitney, when we asked about talking with other women about Women's History Month, tell us why you chose our next guest.
Oh, Courtney has been a really important figure in my life and my color guard career. She marched Crown before me. I always kind of knew who she was. She actually officiated mine and Heather's real wedding when we really got married. And she's just been in my life for a long time, and I just think she's awesome. So she's one of the first strong females that I think of in the marching arts.
Absolutely. I agree with you 2,000%. That's right. Now, please welcome to the podcast, Courtney Allison Mills. Hi, Courtney.
Hello.
Hi.
Amazing to see both of your faces today. That both of you Nicole and Whitney, both round rockers. But yeah, I'm so pumped to be here. When Whitney reached out, I was like, absolutely, let's go.
Perfect. All right. So this is how we start the Kiki. The game that we play first is the 32 count life story. So what'll happen is we'll give you 32 counts on the Met. We'll give you 8 and then you're in, and you have to fit your whole entire life story in there. Yes, I'm building it up to more than it is, but it's always fun to watch the person do it. So ready? All right, here we go.
And now we go. Here we go. I went to Seminole High School. I went ahead and did color guard all through high school. And then I marched Carolina Crown for 4 years. I did the company, won 2 gold medals, 1 Independent A and Independent Open. Then I went to teach all the drum corps. I lived in Australia for a while. And then I was like, oh my God, I got to go back and get my dance degree. And so then I went and got my bachelor's in dance at 30. Then I started, oh my God, this is so stressful. I feel like literally I'm on Jeopardy or something. After that, I essentially taught for 10 years in the public school system. I'm a dance teacher. And during that time, I was like, why not get my master's? So I got my master's in performance psychology. And now I'm an instructional coach for high school dance teachers here in Texas. And then there's a bajillion other things that I have already gone through, and that 32 counts literally is just not enough.
You did good. You still did good.
I first was going to I literally, and again, neurodivergent female here, I legit was trying to how can I make this backbeat go with what I'm saying? That's what threw me off. I'm like, I marched Crown and then Seminole. I was legit, how am I going to rap
this? Courtney, you've talked about self-awareness as a foundational skill for performers. How do you help students develop that?
So in the midst of 2020, when we were all locked down, I decided, again, just why not do a little more school? So I got a specialization certification from the University of Colorado Boulder in social emotional learning. And it's a big buzzword in schools right now, and it has been. People are like, SEL. But what social emotional learning is really all the stuff that we learned on Sesame Street. And so that it really is. But understanding that and recognizing that awareness of presence and how our presence affects everyone else. I actually tell this story because it kind of helps people recognize it. It's like people that don't use their blinker. So if you don't use your blinker, you're not allowing everyone else to know what your next move is going to be, right? So that blinker is not there for you. That blinker is for every single other person on the road so they can navigate around your existence. And so for me, that is one of the first things I talk about anytime we're talking about that awareness of self and our own social awareness and how we exist in the world. Because truly, if you don't tell someone something, they cannot help you and they don't know what direction you're going. So always use your blinker. Everybody gets mad when somebody just slows down and doesn't use their blinker. To me, I'm like this. You're not a bad person. You just have absolutely terrible self-awareness, because how you show up in the world makes somebody else's day, or it breaks somebody else's day. So your existence affects everybody else.
I love that. Where did your love for this and interest for this come from?
Being a weird 14-year-old adolescent, like totally undiagnosed neurodivergent color guard kid whose parents were not super supportive. They really wanted, I was in band first. They wanted me to continue in the band realm. And I just couldn't, because I needed to perform. And so I feel like when I got into the teaching idea, I just I saw myself. I saw myself in all of these other kids, and I was like, "Oh my God, like I know where you're at. I know I can help you through this." So I can't really say that I think Color Guard was the catalyst, but recognizing how vulnerable dance is and recognizing how vulnerable any visual activity is. It's not like a chorus person could be like, and they're just mailing it in. But if you're a visual artist, if you're a color guard or dancer, like you can't mail it in. You have to be vulnerable. And so getting to that vulnerable space with specifically adolescent kids at this point who rely on their entire existence in social media, I feel like my calling has just started growing and growing and growing over the years because of that space I was when I was younger. And that's been essentially like, that's been my passion, is just really making sure everyone feels like they belong. And this is a space for everyone.
Courtney, I feel like I'm learning so much from you right now, and I've known you for years. And yeah. But, speaking, I mean, another neurospicy female right here too. So like when you said that, I was like, no wonder we kind of clicked right away, but understandable. So you were on the Femme Forte podcast and you were talking about safe spaces for neurodivergent students. I just want to ask, do you think that being a female has helped you understand these spaces, and obviously being neurodiverse help you understand these spaces even more? So if you could tell me about that.
I don't necessarily know if being a female has helped me. I feel like because my brain operates so differently, I've had to adjust and make sure that people around me know, because I mean, people that have been taught by me, most recently I was down in Hernando, Mississippi, working with those kids, and they know that I'll say something and it's like a random story and it goes this way and this way and this way, but they know what I'm talking about. Like they know how it relates and they know all of those things. So I think that it helps me go into a space and it allows me to revert back to that weird 15-year-old, 14-year-old, and I know how to talk to them and I know where they're at. And I kind of feel like there's this theory that like if something in your life happens, like a traumatic incident or just a really hard time in your life, that you're always stuck at that age. And I feel like I'm always stuck in this 15-year-old mindset of just trying to like make my way around, but understanding kids in a way that I know the majority of adults don't. So I feel like being neurodivergent has definitely helped me in those spaces, but specifically in color guard, because most of our constituents, most of our performers are female, I do feel like that I have that ability to walk and be like, I know where you're at. I know where you're at. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later for one of the questions you're going to ask, because I already know I've been working on something in my head. So yeah, I do feel like yes and no, it helps. In different spaces, it helps in different ways.
Okay. Now, I do want to probably rephrase this in another way that I actually have it, but have you ever had a moment where embracing the neurospiciness has led to like a huge breakthrough with a group, or, with you to them or them to you, to help them understand a little bit more?
I think that it's not so much about that breaking through to them. I think it's more about breaking through to myself. I feel like once I'm able to authentically and like once I'm able to be myself, and I wasn't diagnosed until way later in life, but once I had to actually like take a minute and cry and grieve and recognize that that 14-year-old girl had some issues that nobody was dealing with, including me. I was trying to be normal. I was masking. But I think that whenever I'm in front of a group, I'm almost empowered more to be more of myself because of that past relationship with not being diagnosed, with not quite feeling like I belong anywhere. That's helped me go into a space and be able to put everybody's minds at ease. And I think that does help them create a safe space because I'm so bizarre. Like, I'm so weird in how I teach, and my philosophies are totally like, people are like, where did you come up with that? Like, somebody asked me 2 weeks ago, the director was like, how did you get to that place? And I'm like, this, you want me to explain my brain? Like,
Exactly.
I'm still working on that. Like, I have no idea, but that's just where it went. So I think that in most spaces, it helps me be the most me, which then again kind of helps them be the most them. And to me, that is the ultimate safe space, is when you're able to be in a room of teenagers who are still trying to figure it out, but they see an adult who maybe doesn't necessarily act like an adult. I think that that's probably,
That's the biggest breakthrough.
yeah. So when I move with them and I'm super weird and I do something crazy and they're like, that lady's nuts. And I'm like, I'm nuts. I fully embrace that. I fully embrace that. But I'm also saying, like, here I am. I'm an older woman, that I'm sitting here and I'm in front of you and I'm going to be just as weird as I can be, because I know all of you are equally as weird as me. And I want you to out weird me. It's not going to happen, but I want you to at least try.
Yeah. I do feel like when kids understand and they like, oh, she's got, you know what I mean? Like, anytime that I ever stood in front of any of the kids at the academy, and I just let them know, hey, you guys just bear with me. I have ADHD, so my brain works a little differently. And like, there's little light bulbs that go off on some kids' faces. And it's just like, oh, do we see each other right now? We do.
Totally. And I think that that's such an underrated thing in our activity, is the adult, and I'm going to do this and not to be rude, the adult that's in front of the kids. I think that they forget. I think that they forget what it's like to be in that spot and to have another adult look at you and give you feedback, which is usually like, you're late on count 8. But I do think that there's something to be said for reverting a little bit into that, who you were and who you continue to be. Part of my process with a lot of the groups I teach is one of the first things I do is just weird improvisation. And the improvisation is not based on dance. It's just literally like, can you be a T-Rex going across the space? Does a T-Rex fall to the ground? How do they get back up? Like, just random stuff like that. And the goal for that is not for them to actually prepare themselves to be a T-Rex in their show. The goal there is to actually get them to revert to a childlike space, because when they were children, there was no judgment. And there was none of that, like, oh my God, somebody's looking at me. In fact, it was the exact opposite. They were on the playground, they were doing all kinds of craziness, and they didn't care. And when I start improvisation, that's exactly what I want to start with. I want to get them back to that 5-year-old version of themselves that's like staring off and like looking at butterflies and I'm a T-Rex. Like, because it's so cool to see them back there, then they start to remember. And that's when you can get them in that space of releasing all of the judgments from around them.
Let's break.
We love it. Courtney, you've worked with so many performers. What's one leadership lesson you always try and pass down?
For me, it's always modeling. It's modeling how you want to be treated by how you treat others, how you carry yourselves, how you approach teaching a flag phrase. I think that, or any weapon phrase from a choreography standpoint, dance phrase, whatever, if you teach it in a way that's not performative, they're going to learn it in a way that's not performative. So if you just give them the counts, it's not, you're gonna be, why aren't you performing in it? Well, you're not modeling exactly how you want them to do it. And just going through this lifetime and learning as much as I can about the psychology of adolescence, they're not watching you to actually see the movement. They're watching you to mimic the shape that you make. And so when you're teaching and you just do something maybe 75, 80%, they're mimicking that shape. And so when they mimic the shape, they're never, ever, ever going to fully do that movement full out, because you are not. And so for me, That is what I look for in leadership is, are you able to at any given point and always do these things full out? Are you able to hold yourself accountable in a way that you would hold someone else accountable? Because leadership is not about somebody doing this. Leadership is about the person in the back that's like pushing all of the people forward saying, no, 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 you first. You need to go. I'm watching out for you and I want to make sure you're good. And I'm going to hold it up back here. And then once we get to where we're going to be, we're all going to be at the same level in terms of performance because I'm going to be, bringing up the rear here and making sure everybody's safe.
That's awesome. That's such a good way to look at it too, and to let other people, I guess you could say interpret in whatever way they need to. I am going to change the questions a little bit.
Perfect.
Even though I love hearing about your philosophy and the way you think, and I just feel so much more comfortable knowing that you're a neurospicy person because I don't really talk about that much. I mean, masking, of course, and masking, code switching, I have to do both.
All the things, yeah.
All the things. I heard that you are an Ugly Betty fan. Watch Ugly Betty in this household. Okay. You're also a plant mama. But my biggest thing that I saw that you like to do is you're a true crime fan.
Oh my God, don't even get me started. You guys don't even know, like, it's such a problem. It's such a problem.
It's what I do when I'm judging, once I get to the hotel, I'm like, where is 48 Hours?
The first 48, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. It's the first thing.
Yeah, it puts me in a really, I don't know, it's my calm, safe place. But anyway, I want to know what your favorite true crime, I guess you could say show, podcast, whatever, is to listen to, watch.
Okay, so I'm an instructional coach here in Houston. I don't live in Houston. So I do drive here quite a bit. And so I listen to Crime Junkie. It's a podcast, big fan of that. I listen to kind of all the audio Chuck, but I will tell you that they introduced me to my new fascination with one of the lesser known serial killers that I am absolutely obsessed with.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Israel Keys.
Okay.
Oh.
You know?
I just listened to a podcast on him this morning, like literally this morning.
He's not very known, but he is probably one of the most prolific. They don't know how many people he has unalived, but the only reason he got caught, and it was in Texas, and it was actually right up the road here in Humble. Yeah. The only reason is because everything overtook him and he was young. He had a kid. Mm-hmm. And so at this point, I think they're saying there's like 11 connected to him. And long story short, the FBI really wanted him to talk. And the reason you guys don't know about him is because he told the FBI, I don't want to talk because I don't want my kid to find out all of these things. Yeah. So I'm obsessed with him, and all of his interviews are super creepy because he is the quintessential psychopath. And just zero remorse.
What podcast is this, by the way?
It's not a podcast. Well, I found it on Crime Junkie.
I can send you one, Nicole.
Okay.
They actually have a couple of documentaries. They just came out with one, Wild Crime. You can look that up on, I believe, Hulu or Netflix. But Wild Crime is one, and then he actually has an entire documentary dedicated just to him because it's the randomness and the thoughtfulness of all of that. I hate to say thoughtfulness, but man, he was good. He was good.
You really are in it. I am
because I'm a psychology person, and for him to think of all of these things and how to not get caught, just fascinating. Like he would take the body and bury it in a different state.
Mm. We will definitely be in contact and like, hey, listen to this.
Dude, all over it. Let's go.
Okay.
All right, Courtney. What part of the marching arts are you? This isn't meant literally. We just want a creative, personality-driven answer that represents you. For example, I'm the percussion feature. I'm not the percussion feature. Fierce, abrupt, intense, and ready to break chops. I'm the band parent in the stands, cheering for everybody with the Band-Aid kit and ready for the next injury. So what part of the band are you?
I feel like I am the soloist that's throwing a 7 on the very last count of the show. I feel like I am reliable. I feel like I'm consistent with my presence and my message. I feel like whether or not I catch it or not, you're always going to make sure you watch me. And I feel like I can give the expressiveness that's going to take you on a journey that nobody else can.
I'd give you the solo. I'd give you the solo.
I'm not gonna lie, there were the majority of the winter guard shows that I marched, I rarely did the flag feature because I was a soloist. So it was, I know, I'm not gonna lie, I really love that part, but it just ended up that way. I don't, you'll have to ask Adam Sage about that one. I don't know.
Oh man, I love the flag feature. I'd be bummed. No.
I'm not gonna lie. In his flag feature, I was not bummed. I didn't need my wrist doing this more times than it needed to.
I've spun the Adam Sage flag feature before. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to go into our next section, which is called What Are We Doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Dancing right now. But
Yeah.
so Courtney, when we are talking about doing what are we doing, so you tell me about something that in the marching arts, like basically what are we doing this, or what are we doing not doing this? So basically a little tongue-in-cheek, what grinds my gears. So Courtney, what are we doing?
I was actually going to say, what grinds my gears? My biggest thing right now. So first of all, I am applying right now to several PhD programs because I want to study essentially how new movers, new learners learn how to move their body. Aside from that, it has kind of led me down this path of recognizing that the majority of our color guard directors are male and the majority of our color guard participants are female. And what I have been really interested in is viewing the lens of why a lot of us get into teaching color guard and what it goes into is that we're not really interested in teaching color guard. We're interested in designing and we want people to see our product. So the education of how we're working with students has become secondary when we're younger because we feel like I am going to create this message and this design and my choreography. And I feel like as we get older, we sense that, okay, like I can't do exactly what I want to do because these kids can't do what I am asking them to do. So for me, looking at the totality of the activity, our younger directors, our younger instructors are in this because they really just want to design and they want to show their art. And I applaud that. I think that that's fantastic. However, I do feel like the reason we don't see more females is because there's not an education push. There's not this component saying, do you want to be an educator? And it's all about, hey, can you come in here and teach these kids? Well, anybody can go in and teach kids, but are you teaching them in a healthy way? Are you making sure that when they go home at night, they're not thinking about the fact that you yelled at them and told them that they were a horrible person because they didn't get to count 4 on time? And I think that there's something to be said for making sure that our younger instructors, our younger educators are looking at themselves in that light, in that seriousness. I don't think that they do because from the higher ups, we're not getting that seriousness. We're getting a lot of push for design. We're getting a lot of push for technique. We're getting a lot of push for, all these other things, but we're not getting this push for pedagogy and philosophy on how you approach even preparing your kids for a show. So Whitney, it's in the TCGC circuit. Nicole, I know that you were as well. And Joey Powell and I started this in 2017, and it's the EDU experience where we bring in 3 clinicians, and the clinicians, the groups can essentially choose. Oh, they choose to do the EDU experience. They don't know who their clinician's going to be, but we follow them through their warm up, through body, through equipment, through transit, on the floor, watch the show, off the floor. And then we talk not about the show. I mean, I'll give notes on the show. I really want to talk about what they're doing in warm up. A lot of times here in Texas, and I just got back from Atlanta, SAPA has now picked it up, which has been great. But a lot of time, like I go into body warm up and they're doing a full show run without equipment. And for me, that's like doing a marathon before you're doing a marathon. Like, at what point are we using our body warm-ups to actually utilize not even thinking about equipment. And I do use the neurodivergent thing. I can't do air equipment. From a sensory perspective, I have to have the thing in my hand. And if I don't have it in my hand, I'm freaking out because, oh my God, my hand's wrong. Oh my God, I have to I'm literally wanting it to be perfect. And I know everyone's like, oh, but it's for your body. That is not translating. There is no translation from going body to going, I'm going to air flag this or I'm going to air rifle this. There is no translation that goes from that into equipment into those bodies, because every single time I've seen it, it's like you just spent all of this time that you could be working, maybe getting their brains right in a warm up that you do every time, or going through a movement section of the show. Do you have dancers in your show? Can you go through this section with these dancers? But really, truly making sure they are settled and going into that equipment warm up. And so when they go into that equipment warm up, again, see the full run. Why are you doing a marathon before you're doing a marathon? Always begin your warm up with an ensemble moment. And I always say, start with your flag feature. It gets their eyes working and it gets them able to start connecting with their other performers. Then break apart, do your equipment. Don't do staging. Just make sure you're focusing in. Create a goal at the beginning of the week. Make sure the kids know what the goal is. This week, I want to make sure we get our partnering correct. Hit your flag feature and warm up. Okay, guys, we're going to work on that goal for the week so they know what's coming. So they don't walk into warm up be going, I wonder what we're going to do today. Because all of that brain space that they're using to question what they're doing is taking away from everything you've worked on during that week. And it's taking away from the preparation and the anxiety they're feeling walking on the floor. So I don't think that people really give enough thought into that. And for me, that's huge because you've prepared them all week for this, but then you walk into a warm up and there's no thought or preparation into that.
I love that thought process of using body warm up, basically mind and body warm up.
That's the beginning of it. That's where we start our warm up. So you have to use that space. It's not just about the physical presence. It's about the somatic experience, the mind body connection, and getting them really in tune with where they're at in that moment and getting them prepared for what they're about to do. So that's a huge push from me, just because as an educator, as a certified educator in Texas and in Colorado, I take those things seriously. Because again, I'm there because I want the kids to succeed. And like design schmizine, I'm not going to allow 5 people in the stands to dictate, the quality of what I'm doing or the design process that I felt was necessary. I want those kids to walk away and say, did I do the best that I could? Was I set up to do the best that I could? And those are the things that are important to me because the kids ultimately, that's our reason for being. If you want to be an artist, go be an artist. But if you want to be a performing artist that teaches performing kids, you have to understand how to do that. It's not as much as just saying you're late on count 8.
Courtney. Gosh.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Touch and go.
Sorry. I was just ruminating.
Believe me,
Courtney,
girl,
I've never really thought about the body run thing like that because I am a body run through person. That's me, and now I'm questioning all of that.
But here's the thing, Whitney, nobody teaches you these things. There is not any sort of education material that talks about pedagogy and the psychological reason we do things. And a lot of us do things is because that's how we were taught. And that's not necessarily either the correct way or the most conducive to the performer's success way. And that person probably was the way they were taught. And we have to start thinking about how we prepare our students and not the way we were taught, because these kids are different than we were. That may have worked back in the day. I can tell you the air equipment thing never worked for me because, again, boom, 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 sensory. I had to have it in my hands in order to truly understand the movement that went with it. If I was just doing the movement, that never translated to that equipment because, again, that sensory process had to be working in conjunction with that.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks. I just want everybody to be educated.
Well, I think you're helping.
Thank you.
So, Gush and Go. This is your moment to gush about anything you want. It can be about the marching arts, a project you're working on, or just something cool happening in your life. So, what do you have that's exciting right now?
This is going to be so weird. And I'm a super weird person, but golf. I want to talk about golf. I watch golf. I love golf. And what a lot of people don't know about golf is that golfers are not paid on Thursday and Friday. So a golf tournament is 4 days. Thursday, Friday is qualifying. And then you have Saturday, Sunday, or the actual tournament. If you don't qualify for Saturday and Sunday, you just spent all this money to go to a golf tournament and not win anything. You essentially lost money. Now, during those 4 days, they place the hole in different parts of the putting green. So, and they also move the tee box where you tee off from. So each time the golfer goes to that hole, to that tee, it's a different course. So each time it's different. Now, I watched golf for a really long time before I started playing. I was a little intimidated to go and play. But when I started playing, I was brought back to the first time I learned how to spin a saber. Because this apparatus in my hand has a weight at the end of it, I understand pathway, I understand weight shift, I understand hand-eye coordination, and I understand how to be consistent within my own body. I am able to hit the golf ball in a way that is probably a little quicker and more conducive to somebody that's been playing for a while. I've been playing since May. And I have gotten my first par. I have actually gotten my first birdie, which basically means par is if the hole is a certain, you have to get the strokes in a certain amount. So if the hole is a par 3, you have to get it into the hole 3 hits, right? If it's a birdie, I would get it in 2 hits, which would be a -1. So you want your score to be lower. You don't want it to be plus. But I think as an older woman who has found myself a little bit like I'm using my brain in a billion different ways, I wanted to combine that with physicality in a new hobby. And so this to me has been the closest thing to color guard that I have actually found that I enjoy. It's outside. I don't have to be out in the blazing in the middle of the day. I can go in the morning. I can go in the afternoon. I can also just go to the driving range to hit balls to work on
Or you
my
can go to
swing.
Top Golf.
I can go to Top Golf and have an adult beverage. Like all of those things, I think for me has given me an outlet. And while I don't know how creative it is, it's super social. It's really fun to put my own past understanding of pathway, angles, and velocity, and speed, and effort change, and dynamic quality. I can put all of those things into my golf game. And I think that that's such a cool comparison. And as younger people, when you start to get towards the point in the career that I'm in right now, where I'm consulting, doing a lot of choreography still, I feel like it's really cool to have something on the outside that I can do, but still is familiar in a way that a lot of most people on the golf course just don't understand.
I want to ask, do you have like a cute set of golf clubs?
Oh my God. Don't even get me started because now my thing is golf attire. Never in my life have I ever worn a skirt until now. And I have so many golf skirts and I have so many cute outfits. And my bag is this burgundy bag with white polka dots. And I have all of the things. And I never, ever, ever thought that I would be like that. But
you need to post a picture or it's not true.
God, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with my golf wear. In fact, my sister got me a bunch of gift cards for Christmas. She was like, I hope you get so many skirts. I'm like, just watch out. Watch out for my golf skirt and my golf glove.
Hey, it's called Gush and Go, not Gush and Stay. Let's go.
I'm sorry. That's all.
Oh, her sound bites are coming for Courtney. It's fine. You're good. Courtney, we've loved having you on today. I just want to ask one more question is, where can the people find you or follow you on socials?
Okay, so I am no longer on Facebook. That's a bit too much for me. And I used to actually be on Facebook just for work, but you can find me on Instagram at CAMills_ and then CR8 and then TIVE, TIVE. So CAMills Creative. And on Blue Sky, I think it's Love Cam, LOV Cam, which Courtney Allison Mills Cam is actually what was on my stopper when I marched Crown. And so everybody called me Cam, which is really funny. And then my website is camillscreative.com, and that's regular creative. And my contact information is there. All of my stuff with broadcasting for Box 5 and the Breakdown Camp is there. Yeah, I have actually been getting a lot of instructional coaching stuff for color guard educators at this point, because I think band directors are starting to find the need to have somebody come in because they want their programs to be better. And so that's been super cool in my world as well.
So what's the next big thing you're doing?
I am preparing a couple different lectures. One, I am both on the leadership and the director's track summer symposium for Bands of America. I'm doing their summer symposium or their Bands of America band camp. I'm also, I just got the word that I'm going to be presenting at USA Gymnastics National Congress in August in New Orleans. And I will be coaching wellness means coach wellness. I have been applying for PhDs, so I am definitely looking to continue my own education and philosophy within specifically dance training for new peoples, and then like looking at how the social media effect really works with and hinders our ability to teach kids in person because they don't know how to be in person because they have two personas. So all of those things and a billion other things, because why not? Because that's what I do.
I completely understand. Courtney, well, I just want to say thank you again so much for joining us today. It's been incredible, enlightening, and I feel like I literally know more about you and relate to you a little bit more now.
Yeah,
And
no, thank you guys. This has been awesome. And I always love being a guest, and specifically for you guys, anything you need, I'm here.
Awesome. Well, we love hearing about your journey, your insights, and all of your passion for movement education. Now, don't go anywhere because Alicia and all her female panel are back with more Gush and Goes, What Are We Doings, and a brand new segment, the 60-second tech block with Ashlee. So maybe we can get some twirling knowledge. Who knows?
Let's go for it.
Celebrate.
Marching by Montez is a visual design business based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, but provides services to ensembles all across the country. Our services include custom drill and staging for marching bands, indoor winds, indoor percussion, and winter guards, as well as custom band and guard choreography for all 3 winter idioms and marching bands. We now offer program coordination for ensembles throughout the U.S. and custom graphic design for all of your uniform, props, flags, and floor needs. In-person and virtual program consultation options are now available through Marching by Montez, as well as custom sound design for your indoor winds backing tracks, winter guard soundtrack, and show soundscape needs. Visit us at marchingbymontez.com, contact us at joey@marchingbymontez.com, and check us out on social media at Marching by Montez.
Okay, everyone, we are back. Thank you, oh my gosh, so much, Nicole and Whitney, for that awesome conversation with Courtney. She is a gem in the activity. Love to have her on. Okay, everyone, it's time for our 60-second tech block. This is our newer segment where one of our hosts or guest clinicians is put on the spot to deliver a nonstop 60-second tech session on a topic that needs some serious attention. After that last run through, we're not going to talk about it. Our special tech this week has come prepared with 3 topics that they can talk about for a full 60 seconds straight. No hesitation, no pauses, just pure technical gold. This week, let's see, I think I want to throw it on to Ashlee. Ashlee, I know that your best topics are tossing your baton in stadium lights, or proper technique for more than one turn under equipment, or what it's like to go from twirler to guard to drill rider. So, everybody, what topic do we think Ashlee should do? We can vote, we can go around, or you can just jump in.
I'm scared. I just have to put that out there.
I want to hear about this journey from twirler to guard to drill rider.
I agree with that. Yeah, I twirled baton actually first grade through 12th grade. Not competitively at all. It was like recital baton, not competition in any sort of way. So I'm extremely intrigued how you went from twirler to drill writer, because that's also something I want to be doing is drill writing. So
Yeah. Okay. And I totally agree. Ashlee, tell us how you made those transitions. I will say I did the 60-second tech block last week and I nailed it right at like 58 seconds. So pressure's for you. Katie, will you pull up a 60-second timer on your phone and let's time Ashlee while she does this.
Absolutely. All right, here we go. And
60-second tech block.
60-second
tech block.
Oh my gosh.
And starting in 3, 2.
All right, so I started as a twirler. My parents had a baton, drum corps, color guard group. That's how my twirling career started. Ended up going to actually like the best team in the world. They're 2 hours away one way, so I know that commute, Holly. And then after I graduated high school, twirled at University of Delaware, where also did indoor guard. I did guard in high school, but I was forced to do it because I wanted to twirl with the marching band, but my band director said, no twirler, sorry. So I was going to go to a different school, ended up being forced to color guard, ended up loving it, obviously.
We're at 15 seconds.
Crap.
15.
Okay. Oh,
10.
Okay. I'm not going to finish this in 60. But guard, I did indoor guard with University of Delaware, did AMP for a year. Can I go over?
Yeah,
I didn't even make it to the drill writer.
Tech block. 60-second tech block.
What can I say?
I gotta hear it though, Ashlee.
I want to know.
Yeah, how
All
did you get there?
So after I was done performing, I started teaching high school. The high school that I was with, or still with, actually, teaching, the band director didn't really know how to write drill. He's more like a music person, not so visual and drill. So I kept hiring people to write drill, and the color guard drill was just garbage. I'm going to say it because I'm not saying the high school. Not in this podcast. Not in this episode. But I was just like, I'm just going to rewrite the drill. So I kept rewriting the color guard drill after we paid someone to do it. Anyway. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do everything. I'm just going to write all the drill. So that's what I did. I didn't take like class or workshop or anything for Pieware, just trial and error. It's worked out so far so good. So that's
trial by fire.
Yeah.
Most of us learn.
Yeah.
No drill writing class with Heidi Sarver at Delaware?
I was going to. And then, so my graduation year from college was 2020. And
enough said.
ended up dropping the class before it even started. And instead I had to take Spanish medieval literature to finish my Spanish minor.
Oh, because that's totally what you wanted to take.
Yep.
You use a lot in your drill writing, don't you?
Can I just throw out there that people doing drill writing now, like, so when I was in college, the first version of Pieware came out, if that tells you anything. I have never been so frustrated with a computer program in my life, and that completely turned me off to ever wanting to write my own drill.
So not intuitive at all.
No, not at all.
I'm going to come back to this because it sounds like a really good thing to use in our next segment. What are we doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
This is the part of the show where we get to let loose just a little bit, or maybe a lot. This is your chance to rant about anything in the marching arts that just doesn't make sense. Maybe it's tradition that needs to go. Maybe it's a habit that performers can't seem to break. When it's something that makes you think, why are we even doing this? Or why haven't we started doing this yet? Whatever it is, this is your moment to call it out and get it off your chest.
I thought about this when we started the 60-second tech block, the first topic about releasing under stadium lights. just releasing and catching in general equipment. What are we doing not looking at the equipment when it goes into our hand? I can't tell you how many times I've told my students, like, write on a score sheet for twirling. I'm like, can you just look at it when it goes into your hand, because otherwise you're not going to catch it. If you're looking up, it's going to pass your hand. It's going to fall right onto the ground. It sounds so silly, but it works.
You just made me think, in color guard, the late look after we release, that's really popular. I would be so amazed. Someone in world class is going to do it eventually, where they're not looking and they catch. Like,
well,
has
there's
that been done?
Yeah.
I need to see it.
I don't know about in color guard. There's like blind catches in twirling. Like, you can catch it like this way, so you're not technically looking at it. It's like behind your head.
And those are so scary.
You like you like spot it until the last second, and then technically you're not looking at it, but
yeah,
if it's right in front of you, come on, look at it.
Holly, are you ready? Do you have your
I have to only have one though.
You can text me one. I could use it. I don't have one this week.
This is such a pet peeve of mine. What are we still doing? And I think it's more in the South than in other places, but why are core style bands still using maces in high school? Thank you, Jenna.
No, I'm actually a very proud person that spins mace. I won a DCA or an I&E medal for spinning mace in 2023. I convinced my high school band directors to let me spin mace my senior year, probably because I was bugging them so much.
Nope.
I still love mace.
We don't need them. We don't need them. It's cute.
Thank you, Cecilia.
It's fair that it might not be needed, but I do think it's a nice thing.
And high school kids want to do a fun salute with them. It takes 20 freaking minutes at the start of your show to get through the salute, and then they drop it. No.
Just give me 8 counts and let's go.
No
get on the
maces.
podium.
My salute with the mace. So I had a co-drum major that year that didn't spin mace, so we put down the mace for the salute. So I guess that's your solution for that.
Nope, just get rid of them. We don't need those.
Oh, this is awesome. So, Jenna, you have a chance to get back at Holly.
I had a different one. I will respect anyone that says that it's not for that. It's not for every single program. I'm not going to, of course, force that on any program that doesn't want it. I'm an avid fan of it. But, however, my what are we doing is more directed towards the drum corps international specific world, and it's something that I didn't understand my first 2 years and still don't truly understand. But what are we doing not truthfully showing the financials of everything for where tuition is going? Like something, thank you. And it might not be expected, but I guess going into drum corps, I was expecting not every single thing to be laid out, but at least maybe like a pie chart or something. This percentage of, just for simplicity, because all age tuition is a little cheaper than world class or open class, but let's just go with $1,000. If tuition was $1,000, how much of that percentage of everyone in the corps, let's say we're a 60-person corps, is going towards food? How much of all that percentage is going towards transportation and equipment and odds and ends that are needed every day within a corps? Like, how, like, being too much in the blind spot of it is too stressful for me. I want to know my money is going towards my education as a performer than just poofing into the clouds and being sucked into the money machine that is the world. So, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Kind of like a robbery. It's like, give me the money and everything will be fine.
Yeah. Future episode idea, too. We're going to write that down because I think the activity would be funded much better by its alumni if money transparency existed. So hang on to that. We should talk about that this summer some. Yeah.
I think drum corps too, having transparency in how other successful drum corps are able to balance their financials would help some of the smaller, newer corps stay afloat too, because we've seen a lot of those groups go under or not field a corps that season because of financial issues. And I think transparency across the board as far as how to run overall like a drum corps, that should be shared amongst different organizations.
Yeah.
And just to close it out with what Katie was saying. Like, there's no reason that XYZ corps, who is paying 1,000, again for the example, is getting fed every weekend, getting transported everywhere, so on and so forth. But then the ABC corps, who is also paying 1,000, isn't getting fed every single weekend and isn't getting transported everywhere. So like, we really need to be able to see that and have that transparency, just as Katie was saying.
Yeah. And Katie, what are we doing?
I think something I've noticed a lot more as I've been more and more involved in the indoor winds and percussion community is, and also teaching drum corps now, is in the color guard community, it's very common for the contract period to be delayed because of those people who also march indoor winter guards. And then so their seasons are pretty busy up until April when the WGI season is over. So they still have an opportunity to be contracted. And the same kind of goes with percussion, but I've noticed a lot more and more that drum corps will not really give opportunities to the people in brass sections who are either marching an indoor winds group or an indoor percussion group the same kind of leniency in having to miss camps because of their indoor performances that conflict with those schedules. It just, to me, it doesn't really make sense because those individuals are going to get an experience in bettering themselves, and then on top of that are still aspiring to pay the money and get the experience of drum corps. But the same isn't really reciprocated from a staff and caption head level to extend that kind of, I guess, just opportunity to be able to still do both, but also have to miss camps every now and then during that overlapping season.
Yeah. All right. Cecilia.
What are we doing? I want to celebrate all of the humans in my life for doing good things, but I'm tired of us having to celebrate I am the first one of fill in the blank to be able to lead this program. Did you hear it on the award show last night? I am the first ... to do it. Let's get to a place where everybody has that opportunity. We don't have to keep celebrating the first time that this group is being led by a woman, the first time that a woman is a captions head, the first time that there is a woman writing drill or arranging music. Can we get that? Let's go. No more first. Let's make it the norm.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush and go.
All right. Now that we got that off our chest, let's bring some positive energy into the room. Welcome to our Gush and Goes. This is your chance to shout out anything awesome happening in your life, marching arts related or not. If you're excited about a performance, about student success, a big life event, or maybe something cool you want to brag about, no negativity here, just pure unfiltered hype. So who's got something to gush about?
Oh, I do. Can I gush?
Cecilia, then. Yeah, go ahead. You start us off.
So I am the very, very proud president of an organization called the Servant Leadership Association for Music. Our founder and CEO is Tim Lotzenheiser, who has influenced so many of our lives through his servant leadership. And I can't tell enough people about how, if you want to be a part of an organization where there is all kinds of positivity, where teachers of all walks of life at every level, teaching music to band, choir, orchestra, general music, all around the world. We have members from all over the world. We get together and we help empower each other to be better teachers for our students on a daily basis. Please, oh please, come check us out. SLAM, Servant Leadership Association for Music.
Awesome. That was so awesome. Okay, Ashlee, do you have a gush and go?
Yeah, I think I wasn't really thinking about it before this, and then we're like, gush and goes. I'm like, oh crap. So I think I'm gonna gush and go that I said earlier this weekend, my parents and I are judging Congressional Cup. That's the name of the competition. I don't want to say it's like a big deal, but it's a big deal to me. It's like been a kind of prestigious competition, I guess. Like we have people that are invitees to, like, it's a higher level. It's like the elite. The catchphrase is where the elite compete, but it's like the most elite athletes in the twirling world, and like I get to judge that, I get to be a part of that, is like mind blowing. The same competition that I was competing at 10 years, less than 10 years ago-ish. So that's really cool.
Awesome. Let's see. Who's next? Holly, do you have a gush and go?
Well, it's not marching related, but it is performance related. And I just did, I play in the Alabama Winds, and we just got to perform for the Alabama Bandmasters Association this last week. And we had 2 female conductors in our panel, which I was super glad to see. There was a group before us that performed, and while they were wonderful, all of their conductors were men, and that really stuck out to me. And I like not knowing that I was going to be doing this, but it made me happy that, we do encourage that kind of thing. And also, this is a really small thing. Some of you know, like my current endeavor is a instrument repair technician. I got burned really badly not too long ago. And so I finally finished the horn that burned me. That's kind of a big deal.
Do you mean like a literal burn?
Yes.
You got to tell me the story at some point.
I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
Saxophones are the devil.
Jenna, Katie, either of you hop in with yours?
Yeah. So I didn't really grow up with a huge background in indoor. My school program that I grew up in just was really small. We didn't really have the budget to do indoor. But now as a teacher, at Fishers especially, we have a pretty like prevalent indoor program with 3 winter guards and an indoor percussion group. So I just want to brag on my kids because this past week, we had the goal of setting our entire closer on for our show for the WGI Indie Regional. We had to end up adding a couple extra rehearsals, and then also on the same weekend of prelims on Saturday, we had state solo and ensemble. So we had several kids out for rehearsal, and then kind of working through logistics didn't really work out because we had so many kids gone. But we added an extra rehearsal, and I think a lot of like what we've been trying to coach them into in terms of performance quality and kind of pushing past your wall really clicked for a lot of them. So it also kind of reaffirmed like my sense of confidence in like what I'm doing, even especially with the imposter syndrome of having never marched in an indoor group really, and then going on to teach. I was just really proud of my kids, and they ended up taking home first place in their class at the Indie Regional, which was super cool. It's just a big accomplishment for the program, and all the kids felt really great about it, but still lots of work to do. So excited to get going on that.
Awesome. I just have to say, I love what Fishers has done, really watching them for the past like 6 years. That program explode has been really cool. So cool to see that you're a part of a big fan. Jenna, do you have a gush and go?
I do just want to say to Katie, I feel the same. I can't announce it yet, but I am starting to dive into the indoor world, but we never had a program at my high school, so I definitely feel you on that. I guess my gush and go is, aside from marching with Hawthorne Caballeros this summer, I'm really excited to be continuing to work at both my high school and also work in my piano proficiency test to finally get my degree from Cincinnati University. I should be completing that this semester. It kind of slid under the radar that I had to complete it for my Bachelor of Arts Music. I knew I needed it when I was music ed. When I swapped majors, it kind of got muddied, but I'm looking forward to honestly finally getting that paper that I've been working for 6 years. So, knock on wood.
Well, congratulations. You'll get there. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So my gush and go is I have just ventured into the judging side of the winter world, and I trial judged this past weekend for the first time, both downstairs and upstairs, and it was humbling to say the least. It was so fast, but I feel like I learned a lot. I took a lot away from it. I have 2 more weekends this coming and the weekend following that I'm trial judging as well. And hopefully, if all goes well, next winter I will be full on judging for real. So yeah, it was awesome.
Hey, it's called Gush and Go, not Gush and Stay. Let's go.
Well, thank you guys for such a great rehearsal this week. And what a great way to show off more amazing women in the pageantry arts for Women History Month. Thank you specifically to Ashlee, Nicole, and Whitney. Thank you to Courtney for being with us and bringing those amazing stories and all of your wisdom. And a big thank you to our guest clinicians this week. Tell us where we can find you on social media, Holly.
I don't use a whole ton. I'm really old. So Facebook, I'm Holly Rebecca. But I do use Instagram a good bit. And I think I'm Holly Rebecca 61 on Instagram.
Awesome. Jenna, what about you?
You can find me on my professional page, which is at Jenna Foley Music. That's on both Instagram and Facebook. If you want me a little more personal, it's Jenna N. Foley, also on both of those socials. And I'm on Threads, I'm on TikTok under similar names. So find me places.
You're
and
out
you'll
there.
find me with. I'm out there, and you'll see me with the Hoffman Caballeros this summer, and I'm really excited to see hopefully y'all out at a show.
Oh, Katie, where can we find?
I'm on Facebook as Katie Zhang, and then Instagram as Katie Zhang 99.
And Cecilia.
Cecilia Clark. I'm on Facebook, of course, but I do actually now have an Instagram account where you can watch what my band kids are up to, and it's at Cecilia V. Clark.
I am going to go follow all of you right now. And you should do the same, listeners. If you've got a question or a good topic to talk about, email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com or find us on social media and DM us if you want to be on the show. We have a form now to fill out if you want to be a guest. We love having people on the podcast, so check that out at the link in our bio on all of our social medias. Or you could just take out your phone, make a video, and send it to us, and maybe you'll even see yourself on the podcast soon. One more thing, don't forget, we now have a YouTube channel. You can go and subscribe to that and see us all there. Before you close out your podcast listening app, go subscribe, write a review, and share us with a friend. Follow us on social media at On a Water Break, and we will see you at the next rehearsal on a water break.
The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Ream. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lyda. To learn more, visit lydamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.